On your Friday episode of Locked On Raptors, 2 games on tap for the Raptors this weekend. What do they do if Immanuel Quickley can't go? Plus, it's the debut of Toxic Positivity Friday.
You are Locked On Raptors, your daily Toronto Raptors podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey, what's going on? And welcome to another episode of Locked On Raptors, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. It is Friday, October the 25th, and I'm your host, Sean Woodley, becoming the Toronto Raptors now 11 seasons on various platforms. You can find all my work over on the Hell website that sucks at Woodley Sean. You can find the show on Instagram at Locked On Raptors, and you can join us in the Locked On Raptors Discord server for the low price of On the House. It's a great community we got building around the show. Link in the description of the podcast. Come hang out. We'd love to see you there. Great place to be during games, of which there are 2 this weekend. You can also go and subscribe to the Locked On Raptors newsletter for free, as well as I will be talking about Jamison Battle and Jonathan Mobo and their divergent yet kind of similar development arcs that they've got on tap in front of them here. Come check it out. Again, link in the description of the podcast. Free to get that newsletter in your inbox every single day. You get Katie Heindel 4 times a week, Michael Shearer once a week, Josh Lloyd's fantasy tips. There's no downside to subscribing. Go do it, damn it. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel, the #1 sports book in North America, where you can place a $5 bet and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. And we'll get started here on your Friday edition of the show, looking ahead to 2 games for the Toronto Raptors over the weekend. We'll get into what the Raptors do if Immanuel Quickley, whose butt hurts a lot right now, I think, can't go in these games against the Sixers, who are depleted, and the Minnesota Timberwolves on Saturday. We're also going to debut a new segment on the show, which will carry you through the dark times this season. Toxic Positivity Friday, baby. It's going to mirror a Friday feature on the Locked On Raptors newsletter as well. And here to engage in all of this with me is our pal Esfandiar Baraheni of the newly announced lineup for the Athletic Daily NBA show. S, what the hell's going on, pal?
Hello. How are you, Sean? Hope all is well, my CEBL pal. Yeah, I'm pumped and excited to do the toxic positivity thing. That's my brand, you know. I like the toxic positivity. That's me right there, you know. Let's do it.
I feel like we're on an island, my man. It's dark times. You lose by 30 in game 1, and everyone loses their minds, even though they didn't have half of their top 10 best players. We will get to the toxic positivity corner coming up a little bit later on. But let's start. The Raptors got 2 games this weekend. Yesterday, we got word Immanuel Quickley did not practice, and he is doubtful to play after taking that fall with Darius Garland undercutting him in the opener. And, that he joins the walking wounded. RJ Barrett also doubtful for tonight against the Sixers. Bruce Brown, Kelly Olynyk, and Jacoby Walter all declared out. It's already a pretty slim picking situation for Darko Rajakovic with his rotation. I hope we don't see Scottie Barnes plus Mitchell, Shead, Fernando and Boucher ever again. But we're going to see some weird lineups, no doubt.
Yeah.
We might see it again. Who knows? It's, again, not a whole lot of guys to choose from here. But what do you do if you're Darko Rajakovic tonight without your lead point guard, who looked pretty damn good, by the way? I know you are an Immanuel Quickley truther as well, joining me at tip 2. But, what do you do if you're Darko with this not very comprised rotation he's going to be working with tonight if Quickley can't go?
First of all, it sucks that Quickley's out because he had a
time.
really good 14, 15 minutes of his regular season, just looked in stride compared to Brooklyn, right? Because he only had 2 games that we saw him in. And in Brooklyn, it was like he was still trying to figure it out, getting rhythm. In Cleveland or against Cleveland, it looked much better. He just looked much more comfortable. And so it's unfortunate that we didn't get a chance to see it fleshed out. That being said, we talked to Darko yesterday. We talked to Jamal Shead yesterday. And I think the expectation is that there's going to be much, much more opportunity for Jamal to let his game shine. Now, for what it's worth, I'm interested because I think Davion Mitchell didn't have the best game in his opening. right? 5 turnovers. Didn't seem like he was really able to. And for what it's worth, like I said, for what it's worth too many times. I'm going to stop saying for what it's worth now. The Cavs defense is incredible, right? Like they
Mhm.
are just dominant. And that really stops some of the smaller guards of the Raptors from being able to get into the teeth of the defense. But I thought Jamal did a pretty good job, settled into that floater, had a couple of nice like opportunities where he dished it out. I don't know. I think especially in that second half, he just had more opportunity. So if we're talking about Quickly and what this presents, if we're going on the toxic positivity vibe here, the thing is you get more opportunity for a guy like Jamal Shead. And I think that's exciting, especially because the 905 is around the corner. And, he's going to have to battle working through both of those teams, really.
Yeah, I mean, I made this point yesterday. I know it probably won't happen because Davion Mitchell is quote unquote the vet and has kind of been handed the keys as the backup point guard. I think Jamal Shead should just start if Immanuel Quickley is not available. I think Jamal Shead is a better point guard than Davion Mitchell. I think there's a role for Mitchell somewhere on this team, more in an off-ball situation. But to your point, I talked about this in yesterday's show. I think just the pick and roll craft from Shed and the way he can get into the teeth of the defense and the way Mitchell can't, even with the
Yeah.
lack of a pull up shooting threat, is pretty real. He's got that sort of, meandering, crisscrossing the lane of the roller and kind of throwing the defense off that way. I think his first step is better. He just gets more paint touches. And so I think why not? In a developmental season, just give the keys to the guy you're trying to develop and are really invested in here, seemingly to be a piece of your backcourt for the long term. And I think you'll probably just get better results as well. That third quarter stretch where Shed was cooking against the Cavs was the best stretch of ball they played after the first quarter. Why not run that back? I think for me, yeah, I would throw Shed out there. I just might get a little creative with the starting lineup too if I'm Darko. Look, you don't want to be in a situation where you're contemplating sort of swapping out Ochai Abaji for Jamison Battle in the second game of the season, but like they need shooting, man. They need space. They
Yeah.
need gravity. Darko Rajakovic said it after the game on Wednesday. Like Jamison Battle already is creating gravity because the dude can bomb triples. Just get nuts.
Yeah.
Give me a Jamal Shead, Grady Dick, Jamison Battle, Scottie Barnes, Jakob Pertl starting five, and I'm a happy camper watching some developmental hoop with a lineup that at least sort of almost makes sense. That's kind of my hope and dream for tonight that we're certainly not going to see in the start of the game, probably, but maybe we see that look thrown out there at some point. Jamison Battle, an even plus minus in a game they lost by 30. A lot of garbage time in there, obviously, but I think the shooting
Yeah.
is real, and they just need that because there were just too many times, where it was incredibly cramped, and it's only going to get worse when Quickly's not available from the jump.
And that's why Grady was literally the only player who could do anything offensively yesterday. Like he was stretching out, he was stretching out the floor for everybody. I thought he stretched out the Cavs defense and he got downhill. He had some opportunities where he fit that incredible like reverse finish finesse type shot that he had. That was incredible. So if we're going based on that bench lineup,
Yeah.
which was ugly, which was very, very ugly. I would like to see a modification to that. Just pair Scottie and Grady on the floor always. Like, let's just have them play together every single minute they are on the floor because I think they work so well in tandem. And especially in those bench units, Grady's gravity as a shooter creates a lot of opportunities for Scottie. So you park Grady on the weak side. People, the help side defense knows that they can't help off of that, and that creates more opportunities for Scottie in isolation, in the post, whatever, what have you. So that's the opportunity that I think like makes sense for the Raptors when they threw out that bench lineup last on Wednesday. I was pretty surprised that Grady wasn't involved. I was like, this doesn't make much sense to me. There's no shooting on this floor, especially without Kelly Olynyk. It just didn't make sense functionally. So putting Grady in there, pairing him with Scottie, that's the thing I want to see more often moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be tough to stagger those guys exactly when you don't have Quickly
Yeah.
or Barrett or any of your, with four of your top seven guys to kind of fill in those lineups. It'll be tricky, but yeah, they should try to tether those guys as much as they can. And if you can't do Grady, help, just throw Jamison Battle out there because he can hit those threes.
He can do
kind
it.
of working
Yeah.
off of Scottie and all the attention he garners, right? Like, I think, yeah, I talked about this yesterday. I put the screen cap on Twitter of the possession where Scottie Barnes is trying to post up against the zone and there's five Cavs within like 2 steps of him.
Exactly.
Davion Mitchell's in the right corner with like 30 feet of room before anyone is like even close to him. And it's just like, it's just too cramped. You got to get a little more creative with it, a little bit more stretchy. And so, I mean, Scottie Barnes had a rough game. I don't think the lineups he was playing in for a long stretches of that game did him any favors. And hopefully he can have a nice bounce back tonight with a little bit more space that he can operate within. We're going to come back on the other side here and get into Toxic Positivity Friday. Again, a new feature here of the show that'll carry throughout the season, where we put on the blinders and just talk about the good stuff and forget about all the negativity that comes with watching a losing basketball team. We'll do that coming up in just one sec. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. All you got to do is pick more or less on at least two player stat projections, and you can win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as few as 4 correct picks. That is pretty sweet. You can also sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Think Justin Jefferson will get more than 83.5 yards next week. Christian McCaffrey for more than 75.5 yards. You can go and add those picks to your entry at Prize Picks and roll in that cake. Download the app and use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the Prize Picks app. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get that instant $50 when you play your first $5 on Prize Picks. Run your game. Back at it here with Esfandiar Baraheni of The Athletic, NBA Daily, Forbes, Raptors Republic, all over the damn place. He's the king, and very happy to have him along here for today's show. As we kick off Toxic Positivity Friday. Again, this is going to be a recurring feature throughout the season where I go very on brand and talk about the stuff that made me happy in Toronto Raptors basketball, either by myself or with a guest. And we will kick things off here today with some talk about rookies. A lot of rookies on this squad, 5 of them to be exact, and 3 of them got run. 2 of them got serious run. 1 of them got some garbage time run, and Alrashamshe in that opener. Jonathan Mobo, Jamison Battle. I guess 4 of them got run. What am I talking about?
Yeah,
Jamal
they got
Shead
4.
Heavy run too. I'm losing track. There's too many to count. I'm not so good at the math here,
So much positivity,
just oozing rookie-related positivity. Yeah, I think this is the place to start. And this is probably going to be a big feature of Toxic Positivity Friday, both in the newsletter and here on the show throughout the season, is rookie talk. Because what is this season about if not getting the rookies some run and figuring out what they've got and seeing if they can kind of fill in the back parts of this roster to, at long last, snap the streak of the Raptors having no luck with deep cuts in the draft or undrafted free agents. I will give you the floor here. Who's a rookie that made you feel good inside this week here, in the first game? You can bake in the preseason if you want as well. We talked a bit about Jamal Shead. If you want to go more off on Jamal Shead, by all means, you have the floor. Talk about a rookie who made you feel toxically positive this week.
I'm going to lean in on Shead. Shed heads, Grateful Shed, whatever you want to call it. There's been a lot of
Jamal Cabal over in these parts.
Nice. I like the Jamal Cabal. That's very awesome, actually. Look, I just think it's awesome to have a guard who gives a crap and gives a damn about the defensive end. And it's really, really fun to see him. Like, he had that possession against Garland and Sam Merrill where he just snuffed it out. Like, the entire possession, he said, "You're not scoring on me. You're actually not going to get below the 3-point line on me in this." And it's going to completely negate the situation for us. I think that is awesome. It's an incredible quality to have. And even if the offense is something that's a work in progress, I actually kind of am starting to believe in the jumper. It doesn't look, maybe it's my deception on TV and I need to see it in person tonight, but I don't think it's as broken as I thought it was. I don't think the jump shot is as bad as I thought it was. And so my positivity here is that I think Jamal will eventually be a decent to average shooter, and that will help lift him to more minutes, and that will help lift him to becoming a main rotation piece for the Toronto Raptors, if he isn't that already, So I love what Jamal has brought for the Raptors. It's funny because, like, now I'm thinking about the 905, and okay, he's going to have to play for the 905 this year. That is just going to happen. But how is he going to battle? No pun intended. We'll probably talk about Jamison Battle here. How is he going to work through all right, the 905 have a 1 o'clock game. You're going to play 36 minutes there. Raptors play at 7 o'clock, and you're probably going to play like 15 to 20 minutes there. That is going to be a exhausting rookie season. I'm just excited to see how he manages that because he does have that dog in him, and I think that's what I'm hyped to see. It's like, how is he going to work through this? Because boy, that's going to be tough,
Are we sure he's going to get as much 905 run as we thought?
I honestly think like this is going to be a Fred rookie year type of thing where he does spend a lot of time with the 905, but they do it in a way where he's still spending a lot of time with the Raptors too. Cause like they need him for the Raptors. It seems very obvious that they need him on this roster and that like what he brings is genuinely positive. But at the same time, I think the Raptors 905 really need him too because he is the table setter for Ulrich Shamshi. He is the table setter for if Jacoby Walter goes down there, if Jonathan Mobo goes down there. Like they need him developmentally as much as they need him impact winning wise, which is wild because a 45th overall pick is that important to the Toronto Raptors right now. But positivity, yes, ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly. Can you believe a 45th overall pick is this important to the Toronto Raptors?
Exactly.
Welcome to Toxic Positivity Friday. I do think there's a chance. Yeah, like your point is very well taken that him down with the 905 will help bring along the guys who could be, improved by getting to play with some competent guard play. I do think the fact that DJ Carton exists might mitigate the need for Shead to spend like all year down there. And like, I think there's an argument to be made. Shead is just one of the 9 most effective players on the roster right now. Maybe he should just play a lot, and that's good for his own development to be operating in the role, the backup point guard to Immanuel Quickley that he figures to be occupying for hopefully many years to come, especially if the shooting come around. On the shooting note, watching guys before games take threes is a fun thing because it's ridiculous how good they are at doing it, not in a game situation. Shead had himself a pretty good run. Was kind of missing from the wings a little bit before the game against the Cavs, but off the top of the arc, banged like 10 in a row. And I was like, He's done. He's good. It's
off the catch
Hall of Fame career happening. It was a little mix of off the catch and sort of walking into pull-ups, that type of thing. The typical pregame rounds. This is the look. Toxic Positivity is looking at pregame shooting drills and saying, that is going to tell us something going forward about what this guy's all about.
We were debating this. If you think you could beat Jakob Poeltl in a 3-point shooting contest, there's just no way, right? You don't.
I mean,
even.
Have you seen me pick up?
I'm just saying. I'm not saying you particularly, but like any of us could beat Jakob Poeltl in a 3-point, even if it was open gym, nobody contesting. That's my positivity. That's my version of positivity. I can beat Jakob Poeltl in a 3-point shooting contest. That's there you go.
Yeah, Toxic Positivity / Delusion Friday here on the podcast.
Exactly.
I do. I'm very much, now that I'm back around the team, I'm very excited to hopefully get some run with you media guys and absolutely cook you from 30 feet. I can't hit anything from 6 feet and in, but you put me deep. Woo, it's butter. Speaking of butter, my Toxic Positivity rookie take is Jamison Battle. Maybe he should just play. Again, it's weird that we're talking about undrafted and 45th overall selection rookies as guys who should get rotation minutes here, but shooting is really important. And I made this point in the upcoming newsletter post for today, but elite shooting can get you in the door in the NBA. It's not everything, right? And I think as the sort of pressure of the league's talent level coming up and the need for decision makers and being able to do more than just standstill shooting, becomes more pressing. Like you got to have other stuff you can provide, but being a really, really good shooter can get you in the door to then show off that other stuff. And damn it, Jamison Battle can shoot. That is just a pretty jumper he's got. He was 43% last year at college, the leading free throw shooter in the entire NCAA at about 93%. That doesn't happen by accident. When you have the bold black led the NCAA thing in your basketball reference page, like that's notable, especially when it's a shooting related stat. I think he's got the NBA quality stroke. And I'm totally on board to see him get some more run. I think he looked perfectly comfortable. Obviously, again, a heavy garbage time situation for much of that game against the Cavs, but I don't think he looked out of place. And you couple that with Jonathan Mobo being a 50% career three-point shooter at this point. Shooting issues are overstated. I'm just saying. It's Toxic Positivity Friday. They're both 50% three-point shooters. Dead-eye rookies all around on this team, baby. You got any sort of battle takeaways here quick before we come back on the other side and talk about Grady Dick?
I agree with you that 3-point shooting is a pathway to more minutes, but it's especially a pathway on this version of the Toronto Raptors because no Quickley, no Grady. I mean, well, yes, Grady, but really Grady is your only shooter. And so Battle is a guy who I kind of think of. It's funny because we just played them. You know, I think of the Cavs and how Ty Jerome got backup point guard minutes against us because they just need a backup point guard, especially with Garland in foul trouble. Like they just needed someone else to man the ship, so to speak. In a world where the Cavs desperately need ball handling, they went to a guy who doesn't necessarily play a lot, but can contribute in that area very positively. And it worked, right?
Yep.
I think the same thing applies to Battle in the sense that the Raptors desperately need someone who can knock down shots and space the floor. And that's a guy who fits the description of what they do. It's kind of like what the Freddie Gillespie experiment was when the Raptors desperately didn't have a center. Now, for what it's worth, Battle is probably better on par, whatever comparison relative to what his position and skill set is than what Freddie Gillespie was. But it's the same thing. It's like you find water in the desert, you're going to drink the water. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
I will say Bruno Fernando gives me lots of Freddie Gillespie vibes with their, general lack
of gracefulness. Can you believe this is not positivity? This is the 1% of negativity I'm bringing in here. Can you believe that Bruno Fernando started over Alperen Şengün in 2022 for the Houston
Pretty
Rockets?
Incredible stuff. Yeah. Remarkable. Those Rockets teams.
I know.
Masterclass of terrible. Yeah. Man. Anyway, we're moving back into positive things here, okay? Actually, the Houston Rockets doing dumb things. I don't know. I know they're all this
maybe
like, this
it is
new wave.
positive.
Oh, they're young and cool, fun team. They're still owned by Tillman Fertitta. They're just waiting to do some dumb stuff. It's coming someday soon. We'll come back on the side here. Continue Toxic Positivity Friday. We're going to talk about Grady Dick, who looks really good, and I kind of didn't really talk a whole lot about in the episode we did after the game against the Cavs because there was other stuff to get to. But Grady Dick. We'll get to that coming up in just one sec. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel, the #1 sportsbook in North America, where right now you can go and get a big start to your NFL or NBA season by making just a single $5 bet. You will get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's pretty sweet. Maybe you got a hunch in the middle of the game. You're watching the football on Sunday. You say, I think this drive is going to end in a touchdown or otherwise. You can go check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. It's that simple. It's a super easy to use app. Maybe you're someone who likes to make futures bets. Maybe you want to go take advantage of the Denver Nuggets losing last night to take advantage of some maybe improved title odds or at least more value title odds, because I promise you, Nikola Jokic is going to fix Russell Westbrook. It's going to happen. This is the time. 6 times the charm, baby. So go and check it out. It's a wonderful app for you to go wager on sports if that is your thing. FanDuel.com, the official sports book of the Locked On Podcast Network. Back at it here with the dude, S. Baraheni from The Athletic NBA Daily, as we continue Toxic Positivity Friday here on the show. Again, putting the blinders on to all the bad stuff and just focusing on those good little kernels of Toronto Raptors hoop from the last week or so. I might get myself like some blinders. If someone, other listener out there wants to like gift me a prop, please do.
You could get the lights. You know how for the lights they have the little barn doors?
Oh, yeah.
You could probably get one that is the size of your head and then just,
Beautiful. Yeah. Please, a listener out there, get in touch if you
look like a sunflower.
Horses? Yeah. Even just like funny. A dog cone, maybe like a dog cone could work.
Dog cone would be funny.
We'll work on the imagery and the props for this segment as we go forward here and really ham it up as best we can. But let's talk about Grady Dick, shall we? Because I think he was another positive coming out of that game. Didn't shoot super well, just 4 of 15, but had that ridiculous acrobatic finish that, look, man, all of the scouting information we had about Grady Dick, the combine stuff, his work at Kansas, none of it told me he was going to become an acrobatic around the rim finisher as much as him being a TikTok flip star. That was the thing right there. Like, that guy's going to finish cool around the rim. And it's coming to fruition. I am in on Grady Dick. I think the dynamism he brings to the starting five is evident. You talked about the fit with Scottie Barnes. It's damn good. Scottie Barnes plus a dynamic shooter, I think, is going to go down as a thing that always works. Hoping that kind of applies for Immanuel Quickley as well, as he hopefully gets back on the floor here soon once his butt's no longer bruised. But what you got here on Grady Dick, positivity-wise, after his first game of the season? Hopefully a season of a lot of growth.
I'm trying to temper my expectations with Grady because every passing game, I'm just like, okay, wait. So I have to adjust the ceiling that I have in my head for what Grady can potentially be. And that's the positivity that I want to bring, where it's like the way that he creates off of the catch, how comfortable he is attacking closeouts. You mentioned the finishing, but also settling into like these pull-up jumpers very confidently. Especially in the third quarter when the game was over, they were just running like high pick and rolls with Grady as the ball handler, and he was settling into like pull up jumpers. He was making some passes, getting downhill, and it's like, whoa, where did this come from? And I think like Darko has said it where he's like, Grady Dick is more than a shooter. He can do way more than this, and we believe in him, et cetera, et
Take
cetera.
a shot.
But
You said it. You said more than a shooter.
But like it really, I mean, he does exemplify that in a major way. And I think the defense has improved vastly since last year. He just cares more on that end. And ultimately defense is a lot about care factor and just like hustling and staying quick laterally. But man, I'm excited to see what he can do for the rest of this year. Cause internally with my buddies and like all the other people in media, we've kind of like been like, what can Grady Dick average this year? Like, what is the points per game he gets to? And everybody kind of hovered at like 13, 14, maybe 15 if you were really confident. It's like this guy scored 16 very easily against the Cavs, and it just seemed like it was within the flow of the game. Yes, obviously he got more opportunity because there were injuries, but there's going to be more opportunity all year. And so maybe there is a world in which this guy is averaging like 15, 16 points, knocking down his threes, playing better defense, making better plays with the ball as a passer. And it's just freaking awesome, And so like take anything you want out of this year. But if Grady is looking like a guy who's a legitimate long-term fit, and not just as like a role player, not just as like a fifth starter, but as like a guy next to Scottie, changes the equation for the Toronto Raptors.
100%. Like again, the fit is as exciting to me as a lot of the soft skills he brings. And like, he's a soft skills machine. He's got all the soft skills. I'm super in to see what he's capable of. Earlier this week, we did our over-under special with Vivek and Sahal, and I took the under on Grady Dick 11.5 points a game. I already feel bad about that one. I don't think I'm getting that point. And I could not be happier that I'm not going to get that point, because Grady Dick popping off is something pretty exciting and good to feel positive about here on Toxic Positivity Friday. I want to play a game with you. We'll play 2 rounds of it. It's one of my favorite games here on the show called What Sound Did You Make? We're going to go first off on the Grady Dick note. What sound did you make when he did perform that in-air contorting sort of double pump floater? I don't even know how to describe it. It was whack driving in from the left corner. What sound did you make when that thing went down? It's good sound.
That's the sound. Thank you.
Very good sound.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mine was more of a. So I'm sitting up in the gondola, and you got Will Liu just kind of screaming a couple seats down. So any sound I made would have been drowned out by Will. But yeah, I think mine was more of like a just like a little like confused, puzzled, but also impressed type of sound. I also have to ask you, I know you're a Jonathan Mobo head as well. We just aligned, buddy. You're going to be on the pod a lot this year because you agree with a lot of the things I feel. So the echo chamber away. But Jonathan Mobo, aforementioned, hit that 3 on his first attempt. No hesitation whatsoever in that game against Cleveland. What sound did you make when Jonathan Mobo, for a brief moment, became a 100% career 3-point shooter?
Okay. It was that. It was, you know, I wasn't too jazzed because I was like, this is crazy. But I did a little okay, you know. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was more shocked that he was like actually willing to shoot it after
Right.
what he looked like in the preseason, where it's like ball in the
Terrified.
corner, no one around me. I don't want to shoot this nonsense. I'm going to make a cool pass instead.
Yeah.
So yeah, my sound was more of a It's like all right, let's see more. I mean, I talked about it yesterday on the show in the good, the bad, and the which is another onomatopoeia segment I've got here on the show. So yeah, I'm all in on the Mobo experience too. Keep on banging those triples, buddy. And if not, do some cool passes. You're going to make me quite happy. We're going to leave it there, S. I feel like this has been a rollicking first edition of Toxic Positivity Friday. Can't wait to have you back throughout the season. If you're willing to hop on with me on top of your many, many, many other podcast duties.
Yes, sir.
Anything you want to promote for the good people out there before we wrap this bad boy up?
Man, listen to the Athletic Daily. Yeah, we do podcasts every single morning, just recapping everything that's happening around the NBA, not just the Toronto Raptors. So if you're interested in that, go listen to it. Yeah, follow at Just S Baraheni for all the other stuff I do. And as always, tap into Locked On Raptors, ladies and gentlemen. Do what you guys got to do. Tap in, plug.
You heard it there, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for plugging my own stuff so I don't have to. Yeah, you're the best. We love you. We're super happy you're doing the Athletic Show. A really welcome addition to the national podcast scene after some recent, disappearances from the likes of Zach Lowe and the rest. So yeah, I hope you guys keep that thing rolling over there. It's been really good. You bring in some spicy takes. We love to see it. You are going to hear from us again on Monday. We'll talk about the games against the Sixers and the Wolves over the weekend. Hopefully they get some players back. That'd be swell, wouldn't it? If not, we're probably talking about an 0-3 start, but that's okay because this season is more about the lessons than the wins. All right.
That's right.
Then we got, of course, talking Raptors Nuggets on Monday, next Tuesday, I'm sure, and all sorts of stuff. Busy week, games loaded up. It'll be, we're in a sprint now. A marathon that's also a sprint. We're exhausted already, but really excited to be covering the season for you, both here and on the Locked On Raptors newsletter, which you should go subscribe to right now, where I have some words on Jamison Battle and Jonathan Mobo dropping a little bit later on today. With that, thanks so much for hanging. We will talk to you again Monday. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the games. Talk to you soon. I already said thanks for hanging, but bye-bye. Oh,
that was a bad one.
Toronto Raptors level brick.